to say, you know, there's blood, sweat, and tears amongst the players and the things that they work hard for. Those practices, Andrew talks about the fact that these guys are in there practicing during the regular season nonstop, and they're giving it all, and they're taking in a lot of calories and sweating. There's all of that, but sometimes you get a ping pong ball to bounce your way, and that's part of it too.
Well, it happened with Patrick Hornquist. That goal, I mean, let's be honest. He got the right bounce off Pecorine's back. But that's hockey. You know, a bounce goes one way or the other. A goal is disallowed. That benefits you. You get an offside call that you don't expect. Hockey, for all the work and all the strategy, it really sometimes goes to the bounce of the puck. And everything bounced the Penguins' way this year, and that's why we're partying here instead of you and I being in the office getting ready for the 5 o'clock.
That's right, that's right. Like I said, 500,000 hot and sweaty Pittsburgh Penguins fans expected to cram here into downtown Pittsburgh all along the parade route as they wouldn't be anywhere else today. Whatever plans they had, canceled. Vacations, canceled. We're coming downtown to the city of Pittsburgh because we want to see the Stanley Cup in person, and we want to show the Pittsburgh Penguins how much we appreciate everything that they've done for us.
Now, when the entire group gets here, and obviously we have to wait for Sidney since he has the big prize, when they all get here at Point State Park, they're going to be on the stage just behind us, and we're going to hear from the head coach, of course, the general manager, Sidney Crosby. I'm sure other players will be speaking. We're hoping Phil Kessel might break tradition, speak this year. Their speeches are not long. These guys say a few words and then they move on and they share with the next person. But it's their opportunity to tell you how they feel about this day. And I think the one thing a lot of players are being asked, and you've noticed, what are they going to do on that one day that they have the Stanley Cup?
Yeah.
Last year, a lot of guys had ideas. Okay. This year, they're kind of like, I don't know.
Oh.
I don't, because of all the things you're planning. To win the first cup, you've envisioned, okay, this is what I'm going to do with the cup when I get it that day. The second time you get it, you're like, I don't know. I mean,
you got to come up with something creative.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, guys, any of the Penguins, you know, if any of the Penguin family members are watching and you don't know what to do with the cup, Shannon's place.
I got some ideas. I say you go to Dave and Andy's Ice Cream in Oakland and get them to fill it up with ice cream. I think you just make it a food tour of Pittsburgh, and you just do whatever you need to do to get your favorite Pittsburgh area foods and eat them out of the Stanley Cup.
Or do
Notice I start with ice cream.
I like that. Or do something kind of fun, like go to a neighborhood that you didn't envision on going to. I mean, like for instance, you know, Sidney took the cup to Sewickley. Let's say you take the cup to Bloomfield, or you're in Greenfield, or Lawrenceville, or or the Hill District. Just take the cup there for the day.
Just ask Andrew and myself. We have ideas. If the Pittsburgh Penguins are watching and they need some ideas about how to spend their day with it, we will give you some thoughts about that. We are very excited to see it. And we saw, you know, one of the best parts of the off season last year for me was to be able to go with Kuhnhackl and deliver the season tickets to that one season ticket holder. We had a few of the Penguins teammates there to show up and knock on the door, and they had their sons home from school that day. And of course, they brought another special surprise with them. They brought the Stanley Cup to a house up in the North Hills, and I mean, there was nothing like that.
How cool is that? You know, we all have our own Stanley Cup memories. I mean, now you've had the cup, right? Or you've seen the cup?
I've seen the cup. The cup has not been in my possession. I've not gotten to eat ice cream out of a cup yet.
No, wait,
I'm sad about that.
You have a picture of you with the cup last year.
Right. That was at that,
it was at that
ticket story that we did with them delivering the tickets. I was able to be there to see the Stanley Cup in person. Yeah, and you have too.
I've had the cup. I've seen the cup a number of times. The one time I actually had the cup, this is back before,
they gave you the cup?
They gave me the cup. It was 2001, and ABC was carrying the National Hockey League. And they were going to the various stations, and they said, hey, you can have the cup for the day. So they brought the cup into my office, and I had it on my desk. And I had it there for probably an hour, you know.
And you did not eat ice cream out of it?
I did not eat ice cream out of it. I mean, I sat there, I was working. The fun I had was people coming in who didn't know the cup was there and saying, is that the Stanley Cup? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I just kept working.
Real cool.
And, of course, there were no cell phones back then. So people were like, I got to get a camera.
Hold on, I'll be right back. Oh, that's amazing.
And I'll tell you, to see that trophy in person, you get a sense of the history. As Ryan mentioned, they changed the bands every so often because if you kept all the bands, it would be like 10 feet high. But the history, what it's been through, the places it's been. Obviously, we all know it's been at the bottom of Mario's pool.
Right.
It was in a floral shop one year for an entire year. I guess back in the 30s, they forgot about it. And when they went back to get it, there were plants growing out of the top of the cup.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine that now?
No, but it will get dinged, it will get dented. It happens, and it's constantly repaired.
It's great. It's really great to see it back here in Pittsburgh where it belongs, and we're getting really close to when those speeches are coming. We expect to hear from the general manager. We expect to hear from, hopefully, Mario Lemieux. We expect to hear from the coach, Mike Sullivan, and what he has to say. I mean, hopefully this Boston guy has fallen in love with the city of Pittsburgh and understands the relationship here between the fans and the players.
Yeah, we're going to hear from an awful lot of people, and also you're going to see the Stanley Cup. You're going to see the enthusiasm. This is the moment you're really going to want to remember, because it's one of those things where obviously it's happened each year, but still it's a remarkable moment to have that one day to celebrate a world championship. I mean, Pittsburgh is the capital of hockey today.
Yep.
It may not be next year, but it will be for this day, and that's why it's a day for all of Pittsburgh to celebrate and be proud to be a Pittsburgher.
No doubt about it. We got to do this, and I was here in 2009 along the parade route working for Pittsburgh's Action News 4 and seeing some of those players come down the streets of the city of Pittsburgh. We were here last year, and to be able to stand here once again, just about the same exact time, 1 year later with you, it's an honor and a privilege, and it's just, there's so much joy and excitement in the city right now.
But right now, the Penguin players are beginning to arrive on stage. We just saw Ian Cole. Chad Ruedel is being introduced right now as the players are beginning to make their way to the stage. They're in their Penguin sweaters. White, of course. Smart move today. They will be coming up, and, of course, the last person introduced will be Sidney Crosby. And Sidney will bring the trophy that everybody's wanted to see. There are a lot of duplicates out here, but there's nothing like the original Stanley Cup. And this is really a great moment, a chance for every player to get a... Look at that, Carl Hagelin. Carl Hagelin getting a nice applause here. People, you know, there one opportunity to give them a big round of applause, and I think we kind of talked about this. I thought the guy who might get the biggest applause, or Crosby in the Cup, will be Marc-Andre Fleury, because this may very well be it for him.
And you can't say enough about what Marc-Andre Fleury has done for the team, and just the, you know, sometimes awkward dynamic between having another star goalie, you know, right there. These two amazing goalies that Mike Sullivan has had to choose from. So,
and awkward is really being kind in this situation. I mean, Mark did everything he was supposed to do except that one period and that one stretch where he, you know, struggled, and then a change was made, and that was it. And to his credit, and everybody in the Penguin organization will tell you this, he handled it with as much class as any athlete has ever handled a situation like that. And I think that alone will be his legacy. Not so the Cups, of course, but the fact he handled a situation that you and I think a lot of people would have probably treated very differently. He treated it with class, dignity, never complained, never said a curse word, and was always supportive. And then, of course, when he got the Cup, who'd he give it to?
Matt Murray.
Passing the torch.
Classy guy. A lot of grace there, too. Marc-Andre Fleury, most shutouts in a season, 10 shutouts in the 14-15 season. Most wins in a playoff season, Marc-Andre Fleury. Most playoff shutouts, Marc-Andre Fleury. You know, when you think about what he's given this team, you know, he's a fan favorite. He's a personality. People love to hear his accent. People love to hear him talk, and they love to see him. There's Trevor Daley now.
That's right, Trevor Daley, who last year was in the same situation as Chris Letang. He was injured, did not get to play in the Stanley Cup final. But who was the first person that Crosby gave the Cup to? The injured Trevor Daley. And for Trevor, he was like, this is, he never expected this.
Right.
And then he gets to end up with the Stanley Cup. So this year he got to play and be a part of it, and he could not have been happier.
3 years ago, General Manager Jim Rutherford made a bold move. He sent a sniper to Nashville in return.
We continue to see the player introductions here on stage here at Point State Park. Big crowd on hand as these players are introduced, and there he is, the hero of Game 6, Patrick Hornquist, scoring the most unlikely of playoff goals, but he scored it against his former team, and he's the one who clinched the Cup for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, I like that you called him a hero. He really is.
And, of course, he's going to be here for a while. And it's nice to know a lot of these guys are going to be here for a long, long time.
Washington in Game 7.
You know, that is.
He is the ultimate one. Number 17, Brian Russ.
And here's Brian Russ, who had a knack during the postseason for scoring series-clinching goals.
And why not?
It took this defenseman moving from Philly to Pittsburgh to become the Stanley Cup champion. Number 32, Mark Stripes.
Mark Streit, his acquisition last season, a guy who's played a key role on this hockey team. A lot of these guys are role players. You know, Crosby's your superstar, of course, Malkin, but the role players are what make this team so successful.
Find a niche. Still wearing his playoff beard. Not giving that up.
Led the team with
You know what I love about him? He's got a hockey name. Kuhnackel.
He sure does.
Kuhnackel.
I'm going to learn how to spell that, too.
You got some work this offseason.
I do.
You know his number 37, Carter Rowney.
There's Carter Rowney, and the great story about him after Game 6. Ryan Recker interviewing him. His whole family was there, and he took the time to introduce Ryan to every member of his family.
That's amazing. These families just enjoy this so much.
2 career regular season goals, but 3 playoff goals. That's the definition of a gamer. Number 8, Ryan Dumoulin.
Yeah, this guy does nothing but win championships. As Ryan Recker mentioned, he did in high school. He's done in the National Hockey League. He scored more playoff goals than regular season goals.
Wow.
And, of course, we're still waiting for other players to make their way up. But, of course, they were taking their time and making sure they spent as much time as they could with the people along the parade route. I tell you, what a great turnout today, too. This is just remarkable. Now I think it's actually, I think the sun is hidden behind a cloud finally.
Yeah, it feels a little bit better. The hot and sticky Pittsburghers are getting a break.
You're going to love your fellow Pittsburgher today, whether you like it or not, because it's that kind of day.
Here for Travis Williams.
Nasty and hot. As we see the players work their way up.
Without him, no one gets paid, nothing gets done.
So a lot of the front office staff is being introduced as well. Travis Williams, the chief operating officer of the Pittsburgh Penguins. They really have a great front office. It's a really good group, and the decisions they make, not just in terms of the on-ice product, but also to run the operation, have all paid off.
No doubt about it. And it's so much a part of the team to be able to make those selections and those difficult decisions when constructing the team.
Well, and decisions as simple as, okay, do we open up the arena for Game 6, and do we put up a big screen? Do we put up 2 big screens?
Well, and what does this mean for fans? What does this mean for the city of Pittsburgh and how they get to experience this playoff run?
And PPG Paints Arena is a really nice hockey atmosphere. I mean, it's a nice place to watch a game. You have all the amenities. It's got all the bells and whistles. The sight lines are great. I mean, I sit in the very top. I'm in the upper press box, which is the very top. It's still a great view.
Yeah, there's
It's here for Billy Garrett.
Billy Garrett here.
Billy Guerin, part of the 09 championship team. This is a guy who's going to be a GM someday. He's an assistant right now. He will be a GM. I don't think there's any question about it. And still loved. Still beloved. Because once you win a cup, it's like any championship. Once you win one, you're ingrained in that city.
That's right.
3 goals, 3 assists. Number 23, Scott Wilson.
Scott Wilson still got the playoff beard.
Yes. A lot of these guys not ready to shave that off yet.
Actually, I'm glad some of these guys wore the beard, because if they did, I wouldn't recognize them. Thank goodness they have the sweaters on today.
Exactly. They've got their sunglasses on and their beards. They're trying to be incognito here. Oh, there's a fan favorite.
Phil Kessel?
Yep.
It's just amazing. People just love Phil.
2 goals in Game 1 against Nashville. In the first period of Game 2, blocked a shot and broke his ankle. You and I would try and go to the hospital.
And ladies and gentlemen, Chan, why don't you say it?
Because he's a hockey player. Number 13, Nick Bonino.
Bonino! Nick Bonino!
Here's a guy who had a fractured fibula, if I'm not mistaken, on that puck he took to the leg, to the ankle.
907 games before playing.
I think that was his injury, but he was broken. That's why he didn't play. You know, we've been told it's a lower body injury.
Yeah, but it was serious.
It was broken, yeah. And there, in my opinion, there's Ron Hainsey.
Yeah.
Might be the best story of this hockey team.
Just saying something.
Yeah, I mean, he had not been in a playoff game in his 14-year NHL career.
Wow.
And then he joins the Penguins and wins the Stanley Cup. And it's funny, a good friend of mine, who I've known for a long time, his son played with Ron in youth hockey years ago. And he said, Andrew, watch out for this guy. If he ever joins the Penguins, he's going to help his team win a cup.
You can tell there's something special about him.
Yes. Stanley Cup championships in 1 year in the NHL.
So Ron Hainsey, a Stanley Cup champion.
Crowd going crazy for goalie Matt Murray.
Who I can't wait till he actually starts playing a couple years of hockey.
Yeah.
he's still wet behind the ears. He's a rookie.
He is.
A rookie.
I say he doesn't look like he's old enough to drive a car.
And he's got 2 Stanley Cups. I know it's a technicality, but still, a rookie with 2 Stanley Cups has never happened in the history of hockey.
Stopped a lot of shots.
He was good. I mean, think about it, the last 2 games, shutouts.
Right.
Last 2 games.
No goals.
You know, I really can't wait to hear what these guys have to say, too. I get the sense they're all kind of still in a state of shock.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's like, what are we on day 4 of euphoria now, and you come to realize that you actually did what you set out to do and win the Stanley Cup.
Meanwhile, the chant has begun as Matt Cullen makes his way to the stage of 1 more year.
I thought they were saying 4 more years, like he was the president of the United States. But
well, they'll take 4.
They'll take 4. I like Matt Cullen because he's almost as old as I am, and he's still playing hockey every day.
Matt has, 40 years old. He's won cups before. He's won 2 here. It's a great way to go out on top, but you know what? It'd be great to have him back for 1 more year.
Hey, I mean, if he can play. Oli Mata is being brought to the stage right now. Really recognizable figure.
Another one of those really young Penguins that you mentioned. But, you know, he's had some ups and downs this year. He's made some big plays. He's growing with this hockey team.
No doubt.
Yeah, you forget how young these guys are.
Some of them are babies, 22, 23 years old.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, you got to start young. If you have guys who have won 2 Stanley Cups and they're barely 25, I mean, that experience is huge.
Right, for sure, for sure. Yeah. And we used to call him Sid the Kid. I think that moniker is sort of being retired these days, but I feel like, you know, he was such a kid when he started here, and now he's this team veteran who's done so many amazing things, and now some of these young guys get to learn from him.
All right, let's take a listen now as Marc-Andre Fleury is slowly making his way in this direction. I got a feeling, as I said before, when he gets to the stage, it's going to be quite the applause. And meantime, Sidney Crosby is still making his way. I don't know, did he walk the whole way? I think he's walked his way.
Isn't he tired?
You know, the cup is, I've been told, is 35 pounds.
Goodness gracious.
You know, we all know how big and tough he is and strong he is, but...
5 goals, 8 assists. No bigger assist than the shot wide right that led to the goal by Harding. Number 4, Justin Schultz.
Here's Justin Schultz, an acquisition last season. Made some pretty big goals during the playoffs, and of course his shot was the one that started the game-winning shot that Patrick Hornquist was able to get the rebound and put that in. Which
was a very big deal.
Extremely, because that game, honestly, I think we all thought was going overtime.
So thank you, Justin Schultz.
As Penguin players still make their way into Commonwealth Place here in the Point, here in downtown Pittsburgh, a great place to enjoy a celebration of a Stanley Cup champion. What a fantastic day this has turned out to be. And we're not even to the main event yet.
No, we're not. We're not.
I guess the other thing, too, is, I mean, after this, the guys, I guess this morning, I understand they had a team photo in PPG Paints Arena. And then, of course, all the parade today, celebration. They probably have a couple more parties planned, but this will probably be the last time we see this group as it is composed together. Because
they'll go off on their very short summer vacations, and, and some of them will go their separate ways forever.
And that's the hard part. I mean, unless, obviously if they go to the White House, they tend to all go as a group.
Right.
But there's no guarantee that will happen.
Yes, and the general manager did say that this team will be at the White House if they're invited, which we expect them to be. We also saw in Washington, D.C., an email went out that the National Mall is trying to start a new tradition of having Major League champions from the different sports come and visit the National Mall in Washington, D.C. It's not something they've typically done before, but they're trying to get them to do that. But the GM here saying that, yes, if President Donald Trump does invite the Pittsburgh Penguins to the White House after the Stanley Cup victory, then they will indeed go and set, whatever politics aside and be there for that and make sure that the team can experience the White House.
Well, think about it. They have a streak going. When President Obama first came to office, they won the Stanley Cup.
Yep.
Visit the White House. When he left office, they went to the White House.
Yep.
Now, if President Trump invites them to the White House, they'll start his administration.
I think they should just build another wing on the White House for the Pittsburgh Penguins because they're there all the time.
By the way, that White House visit, if it does happen, would likely happen during the season, probably September or October, if that does materialize.
Okay.
Which we expect.
All right. So they've got a little bit of time until that happens.
All right. So we're waiting for more players to come up.
For assistant coach Jacques Martin.
Jacques Martin, assistant coach, coming up. Here's the thing about this coaching staff, Jacques Martin and Rick Tocchet and Mike Sullivan. And Mike has said this. They make a lot of decisions by committee.
Right.
You never hear, I forget who said this, but you never hear Mike Sullivan say, I decided this. I decided that.
They say.
He said, this is we. We make this decision. I heard this on the radio somewhere. One of the reporters covering the Penguins made this point. I'm sorry, I can't remember who. But you never hear Sullivan ever say I. It's always we. And he means it. It's a joint decision on everything.
Well, that has proven to be meaningful.
Tied for first with 6 game-winning goals in the regular season. First star in the week of January. 7 points in the playoffs. 2 cups, 2 years. Number 43, Connor Sheary.
And here's Connor Sheary, another one of those young players who experienced a lot of success very early in his career. He's been really productive. He had some time where he was not productive and spent a little time on the bench, but came back, contributed to the Stanley Cup championship.
First 2 goals, first 2 shots. He's having a heck of a year. Number 59, Jake Gensel.
This crowd's going nuts for Jake Gensel, and with good reason.
You know, can you imagine being Jake Gensel? Everything you've accomplished. I mean, he's the most celebrated rookie in Stanley Cup playoff history. Had the biggest Stanley Cup rookie since Dino Ciccarelli. He's done everything you would possibly ask. He's won a Stanley Cup. You know, if he retires now, I won't fault him.
That's right. That's right.
Although he probably still needs the money.
Hey, Nick, raise your hand. All those people out there do that.
Oh, man, these guys. And I see some have shaved their beards.
23 points.
You're watching WTAE-TV Channel 4 live coverage of the Penguins parade celebration. And look who's here.
Andrew, you were right.
You know, I still think he's a Stanley Cup champion.
No, he really is. He looks like he might be there to fix your refrigerator, but he's a Stanley Cup champion.
Well, like I said, I wonder what he told Andrew McCutcheon last night, because it must have paid off.
That's right.
And you sit down and the young guys take over. Unless, of course, you're Matt Cullen. Matt led all forwards the next time in Game 6 because he's an animal and he's all of our dads. Number 7, Matt Cullen.
And there's the other side of things. You have these rookies.
Yeah.
And then you have Matt Cullen, who's obviously at the tail end of his career. They're chanting one more year. I'm sure he'd like to play one more year.
Matt Cullen, one more year.
I'm sure his kids wouldn't mind.
That's right. He's healthy. He's strong. Do it.
It's going to be a big decision. Big decision.
Number 55, head coach, Sergei Gonchar.
Oh, here we go. Sergei Gonchar.
Oh.
Former Pittsburgh Penguin.
Yeah.
Now on the staff.
Love to see so many of these former players working for the organization. It's, you know, these names and these faces that Pittsburgh remembers.
And they always will. I mean, Max Talbot will always be part of Pittsburgh Penguin lore.
Oh, for sure.
You know, Marc-Andre Fleury, should he move on, will always be part of it. You know, everybody who's ever contributed any small little piece to a championship.
Right.
I mean, let's face it, Phil Borg, forever.
Forever.
Will be the old 2-9er.
Yep. Forever, forever.
Oh, goodness. It has been a remarkable day so far. The sun has hidden behind a cloud just in time.
Giving us some relief here.
Yeah, it's been steamy. It's been pretty steamy. Hey, don't forget, by the way, we're going to wrap all this up for you tonight on Pittsburgh Action News 4 starting at 5 o'clock, and there will be a lot to show you, including what these hockey heroes tell the fans here when they take the podium and they start the formal presentation.
Yeah, I think maybe so much of what you're going to want to see tonight on Pittsburgh's Action News 4 starting at 5 o'clock is the one-on-one interviews and these interactions with our reporters, people like Guy Junker, David Kaplan out on the parade route right now and able to talk to the people who've made this happen, and you're going to see that.
Stanley Cup. He's a stuff of nightmares for the
All right, more player introductions, and let's see who's up next.
In Pittsburgh, he will always be the stuff of legend. Forever with a chance of Fleury, playing in the rafters of PPG Paints Arena.
Chanting for him now.
Guys can ever have. Number 29, Marc-Andre Fleury.
There he is, the flower.
You know, there are some athletes that will always be beloved. I think Bill Mazeroski obviously is one of those people. I think Marc-Andre Fleury falls in that category.
Yeah.
Because not so much what he's accomplished, which is great, but what he did this offseason once again in dealing with this situation.
Exactly.
And when he comes back here, you know, should he end up with another team, I can just imagine the video they're going to make for him and the applause he will get.
Marc-Andre Fleury.
All right, it's David Morehouse, president of the Pittsburgh Penguins, who's done such a fine job and kind of been the face of the franchise when it comes to representing the front office. And I see Jim Rutherford getting ready to take the stage.
With the team, 2 cups. It's here for head coach.
Here we go. Mike Sullivan.
It's getting down to it, folks.
He snuck up on
One of 3 coaches to win 2 championships in Pittsburgh, along with Chuck Noll and former Pirate manager Danny Murtaugh.
Ron Burkle does that. It's here for Ron Burkle.
And here comes Penguin co-owner Ron Burkle. He and Mario kind of silent partners. You don't hear a lot from them.
Right.
But obviously, because of their influence and their infusion of capital and investment in the team is here. And as you can see today, the team is thriving.
Absolutely. They let the team and the players do all the talking for them.
Yes.
You know, we talk about that ownership. They make their decisions and they do what they're going to do, and they let their general manager and their coach and their coaching staff and the players speak for them.
2 as a player, 3 as an owner. He is Pittsburgh. He is from Montreal, but is a Pittsburgh. Number 66, Mario Lemieux.
Les Magnifiques. Mario Lemieux. As great as all these players are today, none has accomplished what Mario has done. On the ice, beating cancer, buying, owning, and turning around a hockey team. I mean, he's accomplished it all. An inspiration really to Pittsburghers, whether you're a hockey fan or not. He's one of those inspirational Pittsburgh people.
Somebody who understood his talent, somebody who understood his place in Pittsburgh sports history, somebody who understood what it would take and what this team means to the city of Pittsburgh, and, you know, leveraged the gifts God gave him and was able to do amazing things for this team and for this town.
And still one of the great, talented, skilled players of all time. And you forget, he at the time, he was one of the bigger players.
Right, very
And the
tall.
fact he was able to do the things he did on the ice at his size was unheard of at that time.
With the agility, I'm old enough to have been able to watch Mario play in a couple of games, you know, late in his season, late in his career, and I mean, that was just a thrill, just a joy to be able to watch him play. And
it's a unique situation. You have a Hall of Fame owner who's a Hall of Fame player. You have a guy who's going to be a Hall of Fame player. They bookend 2 incredible eras. It's remarkable to have this. I don't think any other team I know has this kind of setup in this kind of situation.
no.
So now we're waiting for just the final few players. And of course, Sidney Crosby among the final few to make his way up here. And of course, joining him will be 2 trophies. The Conn Smythe Award as playoff MVP, which is in and of itself an honor because it's the entire playoffs. And it was going through so many different people. We're talking maybe it'd be Murray, Fleury, you know, maybe you give it to this guy, that guy, maybe Pecorini if, you know, Nashville wound up winning the cup. But Crosby was, I think, the logical choice in the end. And then he's also got that other trophy that people here have been waiting to see.
What other trophy is that, Andrew?
I don't know. It's I know.
I mean, I thought it was the Conn Smythe. He's got the Conn Smythe, right?
No, not the Conn Smythe.
He's got something else?
There's a Lord that owns it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
A Lord.
Would that be Lord Stanley's Cup?
Perhaps Lord Stanley's Cup.
Okay. There it is. It's coming close, folks.
Oh, my goodness.
It is coming down Commonwealth Place.
It's got so many fingerprints on it just from today. You know, they polish that up. There's a guy who travels with it. I think some of you may know the story of Philip Pritchard. He is the keeper of the cup.
Yep.
This is a gentleman. You'll see him in like white, blonde, wavy hair. He's with the cup all throughout this journey. Anytime a player takes the cup with him home, he's there. His job is to be with the Stanley Cup, to make sure it's taken care of, not mistreated, it's polished and cleaned. The stories he must have.
He's seen it all.
I mean, he's seen it all. I mean, he goes to the parties where the cup is.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as nobody's doing anything, you know,
illegal
or immoral, you
untoward.
know. Yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you want to with the cup.
And they should, and that's the beauty of it. Like you said before, you know, just the fact that you have it for a day when you're a player and you earned it. You earned it. You know, Chris Kunitz coming down Commonwealth Place. You earned it, Chris Kunitz, so you can have it for a day.
And what they do with it is interesting. Some players take it back to their hometowns, celebrate with the entire hometown. Nick Bonino last year took it to Connecticut, to Avon Old Farm School, where he went to school. And he basically had a fundraiser. You know, people would come in. I think they donated $1, I think. And they would come in and just have their picture taken with the cup.
That's awesome.
And it was for his school.
And he raised money for charity.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do with your 24 hours. Some people get a little bit longer.
Right.
And, of course, there's Sidney who, you know, let's face it, he gets it for 2 days. He's the captain. He gets it for 2 days. If Matt Cullen wants it for 2 days, I think Matt could get it for 2 days.
That's right. They can have it as long as they want.
We ask you to take a couple steps back. Families are starting
When you mentioned Nick Bonino, it reminded me of the perfect expression of the meaningful nature of this season and this team. We've had a baby Bonino. We've had a baby Kessel. I think we had 2 baby Crosbys, 1 girl, 1 boy born during the playoffs, folks. People are naming their newborn babies after Pittsburgh Penguins. These fans are sending a message that they are naming their children after these star players on the Pittsburgh Penguins because they love this team so much.
And
baby Bonino.
And they're picking the right first names. I mean, I love Patrick Hornquist.
I know.
I don't know if I would name my firstborn Hornquist.
You wouldn't go with a baby girl Gensel?
Middle name maybe.
Maybe. Gensel.
Yeah. Well, Gensel's a first name. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
I'm not totally disliking the idea.
Or Evgeny maybe.
Well, Gino. I'll call the kid Gino.
Well.
And here is Chris Letang. Once again, did not get a chance to play in the playoffs because of injury. But let's be honest. I mean, this team doesn't get to where they are without Chris Letang.
No doubt. Great defenseman. And we talked about the fact that he is going to want to put on his skates. He's going to want to start training. But
sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Sooner rather than later. In fact, he has kind of been joking around that he's been on skates, much to the amazement of the medical staff, of course. But
Right. And think about how much the health aspect of it has changed, and watching these players when they do get injured, things are different than they used to be 20 years ago. The medical staff taking something like concussions much more seriously, and if Sidney Crosby has concussion-like symptoms in the playoffs, well, guess what? Sidney Crosby doesn't play.
Right.
I'm not sure that was always the case, but because of the way that they treat those concussions, because of the way they treat any kind of injury, just much more cautiously, that means players like Sidney Crosby are going to be able to skate and play and shoot so much longer. Agreed.
And Sidney is making his way up Commonwealth Place with the Stanley Cup, with an armed escort of officers on bikes, by foot. I mean, somebody actually threw him a hat, too.
They might want that sign to give back.
I'll tell you, Sidney Crosby might be the strongest man I've ever seen, because he's done nothing but have the cup over his head this entire parade.
I don't know if Sidney Crosby has a Fitbit, but he's probably got his 10,000 steps in a day, because he's walking a good part of the parade. I think he's riding right now, but he has got to be still on that high, on that just unbelievable moment. You know that you're going to be able to take the Stanley Cup back to your town and your city, starting Sunday night and touching back down in the city of Pittsburgh, going to his town of Sewickley, Pennsylvania, which is, sits right on the Ohio River, just a few miles upriver from where we are right now, and sharing it.
You, his friends, know him as Gino. He's number 71.
Gino Malkin.
Gino Malkin. I tell you, this is a guy who...
What does he have, a Phil Kessel face? He's showing Phil Kessel's face. That's hilarious.
If Sidney is the leader of this team, I think Gino is the emotional leader.
Yeah.
I mean, when things aren't going well, he's not afraid to speak out. He's very frank, very straight to the point. He really is, like I said, the emotional leader in many ways.
You think he expects a lot of his teammates?
He does. And he expects even more of himself.
Assisted on Horny's final goal day.
And Chris Kunitz has taken the stage with his young daughter.
I love that his daughter is with him in her beautiful gold dress for Pittsburgh Penguins. Here's a dad when you say he's 37 years old.
Yeah.
Chris Kunitz has been around and such an important part of the Pittsburgh Penguins organization. I hope he stays around.
I hope so, too. I really do. All right, people, that leaves one person left who's brought 2 trophies with him.
Ready for the captain?
Here he is.
Chris Stanley.
Woo!
Save number 87.
And with that, the conquest is complete.
On the throne of the festivities, dear master of ceremonies, you know this Paul Stanley, you're his friend, you call him Stanley.
Now we'll hear some of the speeches from the players and the coaching staff.
Good afternoon, Pittsburgh.
We have a few words to say, but first of all, we're going to bring up Jeff Jimerson to sing the national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. I wish that all of you could be up here and see what I see out there. It's unbelievable. I think there might be, I don't know, maybe 1 million people here today. And as I said in 2009, look at that back there, yeah. I said this is hockey heaven. Wow. That's pretty cool. That's the 9/11th Air Wing. Any more? Should I expect any more? Is that it? So while you're chanting, why don't we try this one? We won the cup again. We won the cup again. We won the cup again. Got to be able to hear it in Nashville, everybody. Let's go. Come on. We won the cup again. We won the cup again. Everybody, you know the Penguins organization is the gold standard. Best owners, best management, best coaches, best staff, best players. Mario came here in 1984. He captured all of our imaginations. We had a very realistic image of someday winning a Stanley Cup. Well, Mario led us to 2 cups in 91 and 92. And along with the amazingly brilliant Ron Burkle, Mario has been the owner for the last 3. 66 is the common denominator. 5 Stanley Cups in the Lemieux era. 5 cups in 26 years. The only Pittsburgh franchise to win 5 titles in its first 50 years of existence. What a 50th anniversary season this has been. And we're still blessed to have the game's greatest player and the game's greatest leader, Sidney Crosby. And of course, the combination of Sid and Gino arguably the most dynamic duo in hockey history. But the 2017 Cup run was most remarkable because it was a team effort. Capitalized, T-E-A-M. It took 25 guys, including 2 #1 goalies, Fleury and Murray. Now that is without a doubt the best goalie tandem to ever backstop a Cup champion. And all champions tend to overcome adversity along the way. But this band of brothers didn't just overcome adversity, they seemed to thrive on it. Their ability to overcome injuries individually and as a team will be what distinguishes them from the other 4 Penguins Cup winners before them. Now I know as Pittsburghers we're all proud of this special group of guys. I know I am. Are you proud of these guys, huh? Are they awesome? In the last 10 years, the Penguins have been in the conference finals 5 times, the Stanley Cup finals 4 times, and have won 3 cups. Quite a decade. And of course, they're the first to win back-to-back Stanley Cup titles in the NHL in 19 years. One of the slogans for this team is puck management. How about pain management? They did a phenomenal job of overcoming injuries and showing the grit and determination it takes to win consecutive Stanley Cups. Can you say dynasty? Well, let me hear you say it. Let's say it. Dynasty! Dynasty! Yeah, we've all truly gone to hockey heaven, folks. What a great day this is. Take a look around. Soak it in. It's an amazing day here in the city of Pittsburgh, the best hockey town in the world. And right now I'd like to introduce, let's bring up the president of the Pittsburgh Penguins, David Morehouse.
Thanks, Staggy. It's a great day for hockey, isn't it? We heard a lot about the Nashville fans, and they have some good fans in Nashville. But look at the Pittsburgh fans. Let's hear it for the Pittsburgh fans. Staggy talked about it, but I want to talk about it a little more. Ron Burke and Lemieux, the best ownership group in sports, they've given us everything we need to win. Anytime we ask for something that's going to make the team better or make it better for our players, they've said yes, and they do it time and time again. I also want to thank the best general manager in sports, Jim Rutherford, who, when we talked to Jim about coming to Pittsburgh, he said, I think we can win a few cups. I didn't know he'd do 2 in 3 years. And we also have the best coach in hockey, if not in all of sports. He's such a good coach that a year ago he told 400,000 of you that we'd be back, and 3 times as many showed up. And we do have the best players, not only on the ice but off the ice. The character of these guys, the resilience of them, the work they do in the community, it's unprecedented. We're very fortunate to have these types of players in Pittsburgh. And we're very fortunate to have been able to watch them on an outstanding playoff run to the 2nd consecutive Stanley Cup. I'd also want me to introduce the coach, or you're going to come back? I'd like to introduce Coach Sullivan, the best coach in the NHL.
Thanks, David. What can we say about this group of hockey players here? I just think there isn't a group I've been around that knows how to win more than these guys. Let's give them a round of applause. These guys are fierce competitors, and they just know how to win. They just find ways to get it done. We couldn't be more proud of them. On behalf of the team, we just want to thank you guys. We think we've got a unique fan base. You know, everybody talked about Nashville through those finals, but they've got nothing on Pittsburgh, I'll tell you that. And our fans believe that. We'd also like to take the opportunity on behalf of the players and the coaches to thank our ownership, Ron Burkle and Mario Lemieux, for just giving us everything we need to have success on the ice. And lastly, I know I speak for all of us up here when I say that we thank you guys from the bottom of our heart for all the support that we get all throughout the course of this year. This team's been through a lot, and you guys have been there every step of the way. And you know, I said a little something last year, and seeing if we could do this again. I wonder if we could repeat, or three-peat, should I say. Thank you very much.
Three-peat, 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 three-peat. Yeah. Let's bring up the captain of the Pittsburgh Penguins, Sidney Crosby. Sid has something he wants to show you. Woo! So, Sid, what do you have to say to the fans right now as you look out there at this incredible sight?
Just thanks very much. Look at this. Look at this scene. This is what it's all about. We worked all year to get to this point. Thank you so much for your support. We couldn't do it without you. That Game 5 is something I think we'll all remember. So thanks for all your support. Thanks for showing up today. And let's try to do this again next year. Thank you.
One question. Sid, you've been an inspiration to your teammates as a captain and the leader, but could you talk about how they've inspired you and some guys maybe who've really kind of pushed you when you're out there on the ice?
Well, yeah, I think all of them, but I think you look at what we went through this year with all the injuries. I think it was 34 guys who played on our team this year on our roster. So it was truly a team effort. I'm so proud to be part of this group. And it was obviously special to be able to go back-to-back. We all knew how tough that was going to be, but it's an amazing group of guys, and it's great to be able to share this with all of you. So thank you very much.
Sidney Crosby, everybody! He's the first guy to win back-to-back Conn Smythe trophies as the MVP of the Stanley Cup playoffs since Mario Lemieux did it in '91 and '92. That's pretty fitting. And two guys who've been here for all 5 cups, 5 Stanley Cups, Mike Lang and Phil Bourque. If you want a second mic, you got it. Both mics work.
Good afternoon. You've been watching the ABC special report about the shooting of a congressman and several others at a baseball field in Arlington, Virginia. Right now, we want to bring you our coverage of the Pittsburgh Penguins victory rally happening right now at Point State Park.
You made this city proud. You made everybody in hockey proud of what you guys accomplished, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you, guys. Yeah. I told this little story to Borky just after we won the Cup the second time here. And what you go back to last year when the Penguins basically broke every goaltender in the series that they played. They did the same thing, I believe, this year too. And so they made the goalies feel like a cow on AstroTurf. And that's not a fun thing for a cow. But for the Penguins, it was a wonderful thing. And thus, they've got another Stanley Cup, number 5. And it's that time. It's time to christen the USS Bourque and get the party started for the whole city on the river. Will you please, Mr. Bourque, give us the christening?
All right, you remember 1991? It was actually you, Mikey. You prodded me. You said, Borky, give him something to remember you by. And we started a little tradition, so you want to keep the tradition going? Okay. Everybody remember how it goes? So I start it, and you guys finish it, all right?
He can still lift it up. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Let's take this down to the river and party all summer!
You've been christening, and here's the beauty of this whole thing, is that every year the Penguins win a cup, we know that Elvis is still alive. Do we have a special moment here, this parade and everything involved? How wonderful it was. We seem to be so much closer to people this year and the years prior. But it was hot. Everybody agree to that? But players have to improvise sometimes too, and sometimes they overdress. And so they've got to take care of some things. I wonder, and I know I'm not putting you in a bad position here, but would you step forward, Mr. Hainsey? Just for a moment. Come on, Ronnie. Have some fun with it. Come on. I want you to see how you get a pair of shorts out of a jean that has it. And here's how it's done. Thank you, Mr. Hainsey. Awesome job. Yeah. That's being able to improvise. Hide those babies. All right, Staggy, we'll send it back to you, and you can finish up here.
Okay, we're going to bring a couple more guys up here, a couple guys that played a pretty big role, I'd say, in winning the Stanley Cup. We're going to bring up the greatest goaltending tandem in the history of the Stanley Cup playoffs, Marc-Andre Fleury and Matt Murray. Come on up here, guys. Come on, Flower. Okay, grab the cup, please. Would you grab the cup? You two hold it up. I appreciate it. Just bring it over here, Flower. Put it between you two guys. Both you guys hold it up. That'd be great. Okay, now we're going to do a chant. We're going to go Murray, Fleury, Murray, Fleury. Back and forth. Okay, here we go. Murray, Fleury, Murray, Fleury. Come on, let's hear your voices. Yeah. Awesome. Way to go, guys. Thanks a lot. Congratulations. Okay, I'm going to ask the guys if they would, because they're kind of in the back here on the stage. I want them to sort of come up to the front so all of you can see them here for one last time before we end the program. So boys, if you wouldn't mind, come up to the edge of the stage here so they can see you, because you're pretty far back and there's so many people out here. We want to do that, okay? Come on, guys. Come on, come on, come on. Just come out to the edge of the stage. I'd appreciate it. Gino, come on. Come on, guys. Appreciate it. Give these one more look at the 2017 Stanley Cup champions, back-to-back champs. Yeah. Come on, guys. Woo. There you go. Let's hear it, folks. Let's hear it for them. Come on. Give them a good send-off for the summer. Everybody. Gino. Have a great summer, everybody. And let's do it again. We'll see you at the banner raising in early October. Thank you so much.
Cup right behind us. It's so close we can almost touch it. It's so exciting to see that, to see Phil Bourque and talk about that. Oh my goodness, the Fleury Murray dynamic. This crowd really getting into it.
And of course, having Phil Bourque tell us to take the cup down the river and celebrate all summer long. I'll tell you, it's been a great day to celebrate not just a hockey team, but obviously a fan base and a city that's so proud. It's the city of champions. It has been for a number of years. It is once again today.
That's right. And we were so glad that you were with us for this ride today. It is going to be, like Andrew said, another summer of Stanley and in the city of Stanley. We are so glad that you were with us today. Some of the best parts were watching Sidney Crosby walk most of the parade route today.
It was fun to watch all these guys interact with the crowd and to see all the fans come out here. And they were here very early. They wanted a great seat for this action. They saw it today. You know, this whole celebration is going to go on for a long, long time, because this is a championship that a lot of people thought might never happen. I mean, back-to-back Stanley Cup championships. It doesn't happen very often. It hasn't happened in 20 years. And once again today, a celebration of an incredible hockey team, but also a celebration of one incredible city.
You know that there are so many more young people right now who are trying to get into the sport of hockey because of the inspiration of this hockey team. Pittsburgh really is a hockey city, no doubt about it.
It is, and we want to thank you for joining us today. This was a fun afternoon. There's so much more to talk about, believe it or not. We're not done yet. We're going to sum it all up for you tonight, beginning on our newscast at 5, and of course, go to our website all day for pictures, videos, and so much of today's celebration.
And the best part of the summer is going to be following exactly where the Stanley Cup ends up in the summer of Stanley as it goes from player to player, and we will take you on that journey. Just come with us every day on Pittsburgh's Action News 4 for all of the fun adventures that the Stanley Cup is going to get into.
So once again, for Kelly Sasso, Ryan Recker, Guy Junker, Shan Perrine, and myself, Andrew Stockey, thank you for joining us this afternoon for this, now, I guess, annual celebration. How about a three-peat?
Yeah, let's talk about three-peat. It is not too late. You know, I just want to say that even Pittsburgh's bitterest rivals cannot argue with the vitality, the passion that this city has. Nobody can argue with the passion that is Pittsburgh right now, and you are seeing the Stanley Cup right now. We are so glad that it's right here at the confluence of the three rivers, and we're so glad that you came along with us for this ride. So today is a day for the City of Champions to show the gratitude that this city has for the Pittsburgh Penguins and all the sacrifice that they have made, and the Pittsburgh Penguins say thank you right back. And for everybody here at Pittsburgh's Action News 4, we want to say thank you to the Pittsburgh Penguins.
And enjoy the summer of Stanley.
He scores! And going with 13 Cup champions.
Soon-to-be 26-year-old is 1 week old.
We now join